Do you want to hear about my Mounjaro, Zepbound, weight loss, and how long I was on each one of the doses to ultimately lose 80 pounds in 1 year? Then you'll want to watch this video today. Hey everybody, Jen here, and welcome back to my channel. I feel like I have a pretty good video in store for you today. And it's based off of one of the most asked questions, which is, how do you know when it's the right time to move up to the next dose of Mounjaro or Zepbound? And if you're new to this medication, there are 6 strengths. It's 2.5, which is typically the starter, then 5, 7.5, 10, 12.5, and 15. Now, I say typically a starter dose because you may start at a different strength, like just based on your past GLP-1 usage. But for me, I started at 2.5, and I have to say, I'm not a doctor. I cannot give you medical advice. All I can do is just show you my history and just talk about my personal experiences. And this is my own personal journey, but my goal is to just provide you with my year-long experience so that, I can hopefully help you on your journey. And so I spent 4 weeks on 2.5 and lost 15.2 pounds. I had very little side effects other than the fatigue, which was, about a day, 2 days after the injection. And I think I had really good results in week 1 because I found out within like the first couple days what really like food noise was. I've said for years, all I want to do is just eat, think about food, and I just never understood that feeling of just being full. So I was pleasantly surprised to find that I was no longer snacking during the day or, after dinner. And that really was the number one reason I think I've gained weight over the years. Now there's some other things, but that's the number one. And I didn't actually remove any of those items and those snacks when I first started. They stayed right in my pantry and didn't make an appearance for weeks, which I think allowed me time to heal and learn how to just enjoy without the binging of the past. And I just looked at them and moved on. And I mean, it's just so strange to even try to explain that. But it was a relief because I now could focus on building out a better weight loss journey and just based on the foods that I liked and a workout program I could stick to. And I just no longer had that guilt of eating all day and just how that made me feel. And if you want to know more about that, I would say check out my beginners video. But this is the part of the journey, knowing what I know now based on more research, I probably would have stayed on 2.5. Having experienced the reduction in food noise and losing 15.2 pounds and a little fatigue, I probably should have stayed, but I jumped up after those 4 weeks and I am kind of glad I did. Now, I'm looking at this as a whole year at once. And this is why I say when you're in it, you will probably question all of your decisions. But you have to trust the process and just not get stressed over and overthink and overcomplicate things. But I thought Mounjaro or Zepbound dosing 5 milligrams may have been the perfect fit for me. And I stayed on it for 18 weeks and lost 44.2 pounds. And I really bought into my weight loss plan, lifting and walking program. And I just really felt myself getting healthier each day. And I figured out my daily calorie range and started tracking, not because I was restricting any foods, but I wanted to make sure I was actually getting in enough protein and hitting my calorie range. I did notice some appetite suppression on 5, but I had a really good food plan and meal timing that I could still eat what I needed to. And there was still some fatigue post injection, but it was getting better. And I don't know if I mentioned this, but on 2.5, I was doing my injections on Sunday, but I moved them when I was on 5 to Saturdays. That way, if I was tired, I could push through on the weekends and just didn't, disrupt my work week anymore. So I say pick the best day to also administer your injection, knowing that you can handle any of the side effects 1 to 2 days after. But I started noticing some of my weight loss slowing down a little bit around, I want to say 16 weeks in, but I stuck it out for 2 more weeks before jumping up to 7.5. But I was very happy with 5 and the success that I had with it, especially with it being the summer with a lot of vacations and parties. So after 5.5 months, I was down 59.4 pounds. I really, really worked on building a strong foundation around me to make healthier decisions and building that stronger mindset and didn't even feel like I was on, I don't think I felt like I was on Mounjaro for over 5 months. Everything was starting to fall into place as I had hoped and I had planned for. So jumping up to 7.5 was just uneventful, but in a good way. At this point, I was no longer feeling fatigued post shot, and the reduction of food noise and small appetite suppression was still present. And I stayed on 7.5 for 10 weeks and lost 8.2 pounds. At this point, I was noticing my weight loss starting to decrease a little bit, and I wasn't discouraged in any way. It was about a pound a week. Plus, I was just enjoying my lifting program. I could just feel myself getting stronger. So I was probably putting on muscle, which, we know weighs more than fat, but I knew at some point my body was going to start to level out a little bit. Um, now, now this is part of my first year that I can heavily criticize. After 10 weeks on 7.5, I made the decision to jump to 10. Still a little nausea, but that was the first time that I ever had it, and it was manageable and didn't last long. But I stayed on 10 for about 19 weeks and wait for it, lost 5.4 pounds. Yep, 5.4 pounds in 10 weeks. Kind of stayed around that same weight fluctuation, up and down a pound, the same pound throughout that time. But I noticed I veered a little bit off my plan. I wasn't tracking or working out as much as I was in the beginning. And, I have no excuses, but I'll walk away from 10 with this. I was now almost a year in, and I did just enough to maintain and build those healthy habits. I think that helped repair my metabolism from years of just yo-yoing and restricting. That for the first time, when I had days of higher calories or fattier foods, it actually didn't impact my weight. So this is the one area where I wish I did two things. The first one is to just try out a different injection site. But I think part of me was afraid because I didn't want to experience any of the side effects. But there are a ton of people that say rotating your site location of your injection. And what I mean by that is a different body part like thigh or back of the arm, because up until my last dose of 10, I was rotating left to right on my belly button. And the last one I would have changed is I probably would have jumped up to 12.5 sooner. But I'm not really sure if jumping up would have kickstarted my weight loss because I just was no longer consistent with working out and just eating within my calorie range. But once I decided it was time to break my stall, I regrouped and hit the ground running. I'm now 5 weeks, but really 4 doses in. I'm down 7 pounds with a couple more days left to just round out this last month. I skipped a week because one, I had tremendous appetite suppression to the point where I had to remind myself to eat, which I did. Up until this point, I had, little food suppression and I never sat down and just ate half of my meal. And, that's okay. I was planning out my meals around what I like to eat and I was hitting my calorie range. I never felt like I was force feeding myself at the time. And it didn't impact me when I would eat all the meals and not be hungry with any indigestion or heartburn that I've heard some people experience if they, eat past that feeling of fullness. But if you're wondering why I skipped a dose of 12.5, it was because I was still experiencing that food suppression. It was so strong that I made the decision just to skip one of the doses in between. And also there was a shortage, so I think it just made sense for me at the time. So where am I going from here? Now, 56 weeks in and down 80 pounds. I'm going back down to 10 starting this weekend. I'm not worried about the prior experience of 10, and I'm calling this my redemption dose. This whole year, I never set a weight loss goal. I just wanted to lose weight consistently, enjoy the journey, and when I felt I was ready to do that, I would. And that's because I would always have a weight loss goal, hit it, then stop, and ultimately, slowly, that weight would creep back on. Now I feel like I'm in the right mindset to commit to 100 pounds. No timetable to hit that number, but I'm looking forward to documenting what I'm calling my road to 100. So subscribe to not miss out on those videos. But what I do hate is that, for that foreseeable future, my dosing may be determined by what my pharmacy can get as opposed to what my doctor and I think is best for me. But I just look forward to getting back into my routine and those healthy habits and just less emphasis on really what dose am I on. But let me know what you would have changed in my situation. You know, it is very hard to look back and critique, but I think the more we show what our our titration looks like and the weight loss, the more informed you can be on your Mounjaro Zepbound journey. Now, if you made it this far, let me know what dose you're on in the comments below, and what dose you might have found the most success on, or would you have stayed on one longer knowing what you know now? But I hope you enjoyed this quick little video today. And if you haven't clicked on my beginner's tips video and how it helped me lose 80 pounds, please go and check it out. But don't forget to comment, like, and subscribe, and see you in the next video. Bye.